All right, guys, before we jump into today's video, I wanted to talk to you about Underdog. If you've not tried Underdog yet, no better time to do so than right now. You're going to get this Patrick Mahomes free square, 0.5 total yards. He can run for it, he can pass for it. As long as he gets 1 yard, this square cashes. You're also going to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash when signing up today. Go check it out. That link is in the pinned comment as well as the description, whichever is easiest for you. Go get that Patrick Mahomes free square as well as up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now let's jump into the show. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got week number 9, Monday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tampa Bay Bucs. In this video, I want to dive into this game. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'm going to give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about a few player prop spots that I'm liking in the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. If you do want to fade me, all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself, those plays will be listed for free in the pinned comment. In terms of this game, I do think we have a couple nice spots to look at, so we'll get into that one, guys. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you guys are commenting your favorite plays down in the comments. There's a lot of people in the comments, a hell of a lot smarter than me, and you help out people each and every week with some angles you take. So go ahead and get those plays in the comments. I love seeing what other people are rolling with, things that sometimes we don't even think about or dig into in the video, you know what I mean? So drop your plays in the comments, but let's talk about this one, guys. We got the Chiefs as 9.5 point favorites. That total is at 45.5. Chiefs 7-0 on the season, still yet to lose. They are 5-2 against the spread, 3-0 at home here. Tampa Bay 4-4 on the year, and obviously we'll talk about the injuries in a second, but 4-4 straight up, 4-4 against the spread. On the road, they are 2-1, but they are coming off of 2 straight losses, and that's really when the injury bug started to set in, right? Most notably Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Now, Baker did throw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns last week without those guys, but that might have been a different defensive scheme in Atlanta than we're going to see against the Chiefs. But the Chiefs are no stranger to injuries this year either, right? Like, think about what they've had to deal with. Hollywood Brown hasn't even played. Rashee Rice, Pacheco, like, they are super banged up. So both these teams are the skill positions have taken a massive gut punch, and it stinks because this would have been an explosive, like an offensively explosive matchup, and now we're kind of left with the remnants there. Now, I will say, Chiefs obviously making trades and acquisitions to fill those voids. I don't necessarily know if the Bucs have done that per se. Let's go ahead and dive into this one, right? Kind of want to start with the total here because I do like both the total and the side that we'll get into in the video. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we roll with that. And then even the player props. Like, I do think that there are some spots in this game, but that total at 45.5 just seems a little low to me now. I don't want to gloss over it. I think we're going to see some severe weather, like definite rain, maybe some mild wind, but still 45.5 I don't think is all that high, even with the weather. So I'm going to lean towards the over for a couple reasons. One, we've seen Baker still be able to sling the ball without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, last week being the biggest example and kind of the only true example, right? Because Godwin and Evans both got hurt in the previous one. But he went for 330. The pace of play was there. They scored 20. It was a 26-31, so 26 points on their side. And we know this Chiefs team can put up points. They've scored 26, 28, and 27 in their last 3 weeks. One was against New Orleans' defense. Okay, we thought at the time that was a better defense than it was. Then San Francisco, pretty good defense. They put up 28. Las Vegas, not so much. But still, this Chiefs team on the season has only 1 week, and it was against the Chargers defense in which they didn't score 22 or more points. So I feel like the Chiefs should be able to give us at least their portion of this total, right? If we were to split it down the middle. Now, it's a 9.5 point spread, so we'll get to that in a second. But overall, why I like Baker Mayfield here is that the Chiefs do blitz a lot like the Bucs do, but Baker Mayfield this season, now obviously it's going to take a downturn with less weapons, but as the season as an entirety, Baker Mayfield has the highest completion percentage versus the blitz, and Patrick Mahomes also gets a little bit better against the blitz, and if you don't know anything about the Bucs, they blitz a crap ton too. So you have two defenses that their number one sort of, I want to say, I guess, superpower or schematic thing would be to try and get to the quarterback and blitz. Both these quarterbacks are phenomenal at navigating that pressure, navigating the blitz. Now, again, Baker without Chris Godwin, without Mike Evans. In fact, we can look at the last 2 weeks. I have the numbers here. He does drop a little bit in terms of standing, so not number one, but that completion percentage against the blitz is still nearly 77%. So even without those guys, yes, it's not going to be as easy for him, but I still think Baker can move the ball, and we saw that against the Falcons. Yes, he had multiple turnovers, but 330 and 3 touchdowns, that's what we want here. We want points. So I like the over. I think both quarterbacks are going to be comfortable. I think that those are obviously important pieces of both of these offenses. given the injuries, right? We still have Cade Otton, who looks very good. Tight ends have had some success against the Chiefs as well, so maybe Baker's new favorite target should have a decent game. And maybe we'll talk about him when we get to some player props. But overall, I'm talking in circles here, but I like the over, even with the rain. I think both these quarterbacks should be able to move the ball. Now, when we get to the spread pick, first off, I'll sound the psycho alert alarm because I am looking at that beaten and bruised Bucs team and saying I think 9.5 points is too much to give them. If this was 10.5, I'd be all over it, but I can see the Chiefs winning like a 31-21 game. I get it. That's a 10-point win they'd cover. But 9.5 points is a little bit too much, especially when we have seen some offensive success from Baker, right? And if this is a rainy game and that total's down at 45, put everything I'm saying now in a vacuum and forget that I like the over, right? Because if I like the over, I do think that means Baker is contributing. But if this is supposed to be a rainy and sloppy game and that type of thing, 9.5 points in your pocket when the ball is slippery and it's wet and it's prime time, like, I don't hate that at all. So I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I get it. This could be a crazy pick, but I do see a lot of reasons as to why the Bucs should be able to keep this game close. Like I mentioned, I think Baker will be able to move the ball. Cade Otton still very healthy and looking really, really good. Chiefs struggle against the tight end. The Chiefs have not had the best of run defenses this season. Now, they've been good as of late. I would say that, you know, some of the numbers that you look at, it's like, whoa, they're phenomenal, right? But realistically, if we look at the Chiefs' schedule, it's also not all that great. So I think that this is a spot in which maybe the running backs can even help out and keep the Bucs in this game. I would put that at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, I'm much more relying on Baker Mayfield and his ability against the pass defense. But overall, I want to mention that I do think that some of these numbers for the Chiefs are a little bit hollow in terms of their running back against. Like, they've played Vegas, they've played a banged up San Francisco, New Orleans. Like, these teams, to me, as of late, haven't necessarily had the best of run games. And now the Chiefs are just a good defense overall. So, again, put it at the bottom of the totem pole, but just know that I'm kind of calling BS on them being one of the best run defenses. I think they're a really good defense, but I think that's a little inflated. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong and been done before, right? So if the Bucs can move the ball somewhat on the ground, and Baker has a fair enough time through the air, still 9.5 points, giving me a touchdown and nearly a field goal here, I really don't mind it. So to me, this is going to be a tough spot if the Chiefs come out and just start rolling, because I do think that obviously Baker Mayfield doesn't have the weapons necessary to come back. But if this game is even close at all, I feel like for the entire 60 minutes, it will stay close. So I like the Bucs here, plus the 9.5 points. I think I like the over more than that. The only thing I'm worried about is a little bit of the weather. But let's go ahead and dive into some player props here. We're going to jump into the Outlier screen. You guys are going to see a phenomenal tool in just a second. If you have not tried out Outlier, 7-day trial, link in the pinned comment in the description. Go ahead and check it out. Seriously, guys, this tool is absolutely goated. After that 7-day free trial, it's $19.99 per month. If you hit a couple plays with this thing, it's going to pay for itself. So let's go ahead and dive into it here. This is the Outlier screen. I like Cade Otton multiple ways. I like his receiving yards, okay? And we can filter to this year. I like his receiving yards. With these guys out, he's looked phenomenal. Obviously, his line's going to be more and more inflated now, which is why I might go with what I consider a little bit safer. He's hit in 4 of his last 6 weeks here. 9 and 8 receptions. It's still at 4.5. You could see tight ends allowing the most receptions to opposing tight ends. Middle of the pack in terms of overall, but most receptions to tight ends. I will take that. And I also don't mind him from a touchdown perspective. He had 2 last week. Are we buying at a terrible time? Probably. This Kansas City team doesn't allow a lot of touchdowns, but it jumps significantly against the tight end. And for plus 230 here, that's actually, I think that's such good value. And what's great about Outlier, say I had my phone, right? I could scan this QR code by clicking that, or I could just continue in browser. It's going to open it up, and it's going to put it right into my bet. This says I'm logged out. I'm going to put it right into my bet slip. We do not have to go digging for it or anything like that. It's a really, really cool tool. So I do like Cade Otton here. If we look at his red zone targets as well, last week, 3 of the 5 red zone passes, he got 3 of them, 60% rate there. He's also getting enough of the targets, like even with Godwin and Evans involved, 2nd highest target rate on the season, and the most in terms of the red zone. So obviously this is going to grow and grow and grow as Evans and Godwin are out, but I do like Cade Otton in multiple ways: receiving yards, receptions, and and touchdowns. I'd probably go receptions, touchdowns, receiving yards if I had to rank those overall. Now, moving to Baker Mayfield, I do like his over 22.5 completions. You could see a lot. The teams against the Chiefs this year are throwing a lot on them, and that makes sense. The Chiefs have been winning more pass attempts against, which I do like for Baker because it kind of fits right into his play style. My concern is his pass completions against Chiefs, top 10 against that, and you know Baker does make some mistakes and whatnot. So I still don't mind this spot. I mean, he's hit it in 6 of his 8 games this season on the road there. You could see only 1, so it gets a little worse. But what I will say, when he gets pressured, so let's go from a 22% pressure rate, 2 of the 3 games so far this season, gets more and more, when he's been pressured, which again, this was his last week, I believe. No, this is versus Denver, right? When he gets pressured a lot, which that 29.5% would be, he's hit over 25. So I don't mind that. Now, do we want to go pass attempts? Sure, but I don't necessarily see 34.5 seems like it's a little bit too much. He has crushed it in 3 straight weeks and he's going up, but overall, I do like the completion because it's that number 22.5. Like he has 37 last week. You know what I mean? I don't mind him for an interception either. If we look at Baker Mayfield, let's find his interceptions here. Interceptions. The dude is throwing interceptions. We know that. 1.13 per game this season. In the last 3 weeks here, now he's thrown for a lot of touchdowns, right? If we look at his passing touchdowns and just kind of compare here, passing touchdowns, he's thrown for 4, 3, and 3. So that is 10 passing touchdowns. Interceptions, it's right there. I mean, it is at, 7, right? 3, 2, and 2. So he is throwing interceptions. We know that this Chiefs team is a good pass defense. Are they picking the ball off? They're kind of middle of the pack this season, but I don't necessarily mind it. You could see from a turnover perspective too, tied for 16th, but they are tied for 24th. So I don't mind him to throw an interception, but I think I'd look at that pass completion more than anything else. Now, moving on to the last player prop I like is going to be Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 touchdowns thrown. So his passing touchdowns. Kirk Cousins. We saw Lamar Jackson, then Kirk Cousins again. We've seen quarterbacks torch this Bucs defense, especially I would say in the red zone in terms of being able to throw the ball in the red zone as well as just overall. Like Kirk Cousins through 2 weeks, but like in a 4-week span, through for 8 combined touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is better than Kirk Cousins. Now Kirk Cousins is very good. I'm not saying that, but I do think that Patrick Mahomes can go out there and get over 1.5 touchdowns thrown here. Last year he did in 55% of games at home here, 5 of his last 10 so far this year at home. He's only done it in 1 game, and it was against Cincinnati. I feel like he's due to be able to go out there and have one of those. I don't want to say monster games. That would definitely help the over, but look at Patrick Mahomes. He has yet to have a 3-touchdown game this season, and he's good for 1 of those or 2 of those a year. Look at that, 3, 4 in this game against the Chargers last year. So Patrick Mahomes, I think, should have a good game. And like I mentioned, the Bucs like to blitz. Patrick Mahomes, very good against the blitz so far this season. So to recap there, guys, I do like the Bucs plus the 9.5 points. I just fear that the only thing that could hurt this would be if the Chiefs just came out absolutely red hot. I don't know if the Bucs will be in the mode and in the grind of the game because they're so injured. They might be like, woe is me. But if it's close at all, I like that plus 9.5 in terms of competitiveness close. I do like the over 45.5. The only thing that's worrying me is the weather. And then those player props I like even regardless of weather. Patrick Mahomes, even in the rain, I think could throw for 2 touchdowns. Baker, I feel like he should be able to have this completion or attempts there. And then that interception, the rain might even help that. And then Cade Otton should be the binky and the safety blanket there when it comes to weather or any sort of check down. So I do like that 4.5. And I like that over 0.5 touchdowns anytime touchdown score for him for plus 230 because he got 60% of the red zone targets last week. And the tight ends have been very good against the Chiefs. So I think we do have some good angles here. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for me in today's show. If you guys enjoyed the show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment 13 if you made it this far in the video. That means you made it to the end of the video, and I truly do appreciate that. But that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully we do have some wins. Thursday night is the only thing that we have in the book so far. We went 3-0 there, had a massive night. We'll see how Sunday goes, rolling that momentum into this Monday Night Football matchup, which could have and should have been really explosive and exciting, but injuries kind of took that off the table. But we'll see. Maybe it's still a very good game. But nonetheless, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.